ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأهدي صلاة الله ثم سلامه على أسعد خلق الله أجمعين، نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين. وارض اللهم عن الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر أصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. My name is Ammar. Welcome to the Road to College, the Road to Success webinar part 2, for 8th to 12th grade students, presented by ICNA, alhamdulillah. To help and guide our community, ICNA has started these webinar series which focus on college admission, where we will have different panelists coming from different schools, colleges, and students who have recently graduated and got various scholarships. And after the summer, inshallah, we will have other webinars, which Sister Sadia will talk about at the end of this webinar, inshallah. And we are planning to have these live sessions repeat every year with some updated information, inshallah, as these college admissions are constantly evolving and changing. Now I will hand it over to Brother Danish Aftab. He will, inshallah, talk a little bit more about ICNA and the various programs that they have and the things that they're doing for the well-being of our community. Brother Danish Aftab.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks, Ammar, and thanks for the opportunity here to speak with you guys. And I thank and welcome all the participants, all the panelists, and all the volunteers who have put this together. I really appreciate joining on a Sunday. Probably you guys are taking a break from your Father's Day festivities. So thanks a lot for joining. I'm not going to take too much of your time. So as mentioned, right, this is basically hosted by ICNA, Dallas chapter, obviously. And most of you guys are probably familiar with ICNA does, different projects they have, and different activities that they, they provide, different services they provide for the community. I would just like to highlight a couple of them, actually 3 that comes to my mind right now. Why Islam is one initiative. Over there, basically, we do dawa booths. We do print material for anything of an outreach that we do with the community. Just yesterday, we had in downtown, we had a dawa booth on Juneteenth in collaboration with other organizations. So why Islam is one initiative. And then there's another initiative called Council for Social Justice. So anything, of initiatives and collaborations with other organizations, or even, at city level collaborations where you can basically, voice your concerns or anything of that sort. That's the platform there, Council for Social Justice. And last but not the least in my mind right now is Embrace. This is a project very specifically for the reverts in the community, where basically their education, somewhat of a buddy group system that we have. So they have that social backing from within the community when they first join the Muslim community. So these are the few projects that ICNA is actually doing at national level and also at local level. And with Muslim community being growing, just like the community, overall Dallas community, Dallas Metroplex, there's more need for these services and there's more need for volunteers as well. So just like this program, hopefully it's adding a lot of value to you guys. This is not put together except for the time and effort of volunteers. So the more you volunteer, the more we're able to serve. And that's all I'm going to put out there for you guys. And I'm going to hand it back to Ammar. Thanks a lot, Ammar.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Danish. So as you can see, there's a lot of programs that ICNA is doing. And if you know of anyone who will benefit from these programs, please definitely point them out, and inshallah, it'll be of great benefit to them. So just before we hand it over to Sister Sadia, I just want to go over some housekeeping, some So basically the presentation will be approximately 1 hour, inshallah, and then there will be another hour for question and answer session, bi'idhnillah. And everyone will be muted during the presentation. If you have any questions, please post it in the chat and someone will definitely reach out and answer your question, inshallah. Now I will hand it over to Sister Sadia, inshallah. Sister Sadia has had over 20 plus years of experience in the field of education. So she is she's an asset to our community, alhamdulillah. And if you guys have any questions, you know, she'll definitely have an answer for you, inshallah. If not, she'll point you in the right direction. All right, I'll hand it over to Sister Sadia. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Amar, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Amar, Jazakallah, Brother Danish. But today we're going to talk a little about the road to college, focused on 8th through 12th graders. And before we begin and talk about specifics, I just want to say we're talking about resources today in our presentation, inshallah. And mashallah, ICNA, I want to start off by just piggybacking a little bit about what Brother Danish just said. ICNA is a very powerful resource within our community for all of our children. And one of the things that you'll hear us say is, you know, just being your unique self. Colleges, when you're putting together that resume, when you're writing your essays, colleges want to know about who you are. And the best way to show them who you are is to be as involved in your own communities, be involved in projects that, you know, help the community that you reside in. That's one of the best ways to do it. So definitely getting involved in ICNA, spreading the word, being as present in these types of programs is going to help your cause, and it helps the people around you as well. So to begin, Bismillah. Before Ramadan, as Amar said, that we had a Road to College webinar, which was bringing awareness for our younger elementary through 8th grade students. During that webinar, we discussed the beginning of the journey as students prepare for that metaphoric road to college. Today's webinar is designed to better inform students that are entering high school, our rising 9th graders going into 12th grade. Several of the concepts that we're going to touch, that we did touch during that first webinar, are going to be brought up again today, but we're going to look at them a little further and a little bit deeper. So with that, today's webinar, we're going to refocus. Today's webinar, our agenda is to refocus our intentions. We're going to understand a little bit more about House Bill 5 and the resources within our communities. We talked a lot about some of those resources last time: IB programs, endorsement programs, dual credit versus AP classes, magnet schools, charter schools, private schools, local public schools, and then, you know, resources like ICNA, our local masjids. We'll hear from 2 college students share their high school experiences. We'll hear from a college admissions coordinator, and we'll learn how to put some of these pieces together as we build our college resume. And then how to become a stronger and better student, building character, exploring opportunities, and gaining experiences. And then we're going to have about an hour-long Q&A. So please write them into the chat box so you don't forget them, or jot them down so that you can have them for when we have our Q&A session. So I'm going to begin by introducing our panelists. I am on a panel as well. I have my master's in educational leadership. I'm a certified principal, state of Texas. I have Montessori certifications. I have been in the field of education for 20 plus years. I've worked in public and private school institutions, Islamic school institutions, and I love it. This is my passion. I love working with students, and I think this is probably one of the things that I've come to enjoy the most, is helping young high school students that are going into college, just helping as you move that journey from your K-12 years into the college years. So I really enjoy doing what we're doing today. And I look forward to the panelists and the panels that we have coming up in the future. We also have Siraj Sheikh. He is a Dallas native. He's a current medical student. He attended Plano East Senior High School and was a part of the International Baccalaureate Program, where he earned his IP diploma back in 2017. He graduated with a GPA of 4.6 and finished in the top 1% of his class. He was accepted into an accelerated 7-year medical program, mashallah, with the New Jersey Institute of Technology in Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. As an undergraduate student, he received a full-ride scholarship to study biomedical engineering and applied mathematics. He graduated summa cum laude, studying now at Rutgers Medicine. He hopes to become a surgeon, inshallah, when he completes his training. Alima Huq is our next panelist. She just recently completed her sophomore year at UT Arlington and will be beginning her senior year at UT Arlington this fall. She plans to graduate early at the end of the semester. In 2019, she graduated from Lamar High School with a 3.8 GPA and was ranked 6th out of 634 students in her class. In her high school, there was different endorsement programs that she could take for her graduation requirements, and she graduated under the Foundation High School Program Distinguished Level of Achievement with a public service and STEM endorsement. She took many health-related classes over her years in high school and was able to get several certifications. She has certifications in phlebotomy, CPR first aid, EKG, medical assistance, and then she went to UTA with the Presidential Scholarship. Lastly, on our panel, we have Miss Julia Garrido. She is currently the admissions coordinator at UTA. She has previously worked at Texas Khan Academy, SkillQuest, and Education is Freedom. She's a lot of knowledge about the application process for admissions and financial aid. At SkillQuest, she worked with non-traditional students who were coming back to school to complete a certificate or an associate's degree at Dallas colleges. Julia is now working with incoming freshmen and transfer students. She started her higher education as a student worker at UNT, Graduate and Toolhouse School, and at the registrar's office. She is fluent in Spanish. She helps parents and students understand the process to attend UTA. She is a first-generation student with a passion to support others. So I'm excited about each of our panelists. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here on this Sunday afternoon. And you'll get to hear from each of them when they begin their parts. They'll reintroduce themselves a little bit and then start their speaking. So moving on, like I said, we're going to start real quick by refocusing our intentions. We mentioned in our last webinar that it's important to make sure that whichever road of study that you take, that you do it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in mind. And everything is for his sake. Our purpose on earth is to serve him and to worship him. And this act of worship needs to consume our lives, but it needs to be done so in a way that's meaningful, purposeful, and healthy. For students, such as our audience members, there's no better way to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala but through your education and your passion and gifts that you have been given. So as you read these beautiful quotes that are on this screen today, understand that find those gifts that are within you and find the way that you will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your unique way. Now remember, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It will take dedication, grit, and perseverance. But Allah's path is not meant to be incredibly easy, nor is it something that you cannot accomplish. Okay, so now that we have refocused our intentions, we're going to move forward with a quick review of House Bill 5. So all of you guys are now either entering high school or you've already been there, and you've definitely met with your school counselors and you've learned somewhat of your graduation plans, if not already have a pretty solid understanding of the direction you want to take. So I won't spend a whole lot of time here, but I do want to go over this just in case as a review. So House Bill 5 it changed up the requirements for graduation, basically how you graduated and what you graduated with. And it was done to make room for credits that were more focused on a specific endorsement area, or better explained, a specific area of study that would give students real career experiences. The whole purpose was to better prepare you for college and to better prepare you for life outside of high school. So when you do get there, you have a general idea of what you think you may want to pursue. So experiences and careers focused on STEM, business and industry, public service, arts and humanities, or multidisciplinary were suddenly offered at local public schools everywhere. Schools of law, schools for business, early college programs. You saw lots of these, sometimes just campuses targeted for these types of, specific studies, or campuses that had multiple studies within them. Now, this also impacted private schools, or at least the ones who wanted to strengthen their programs and align them with what was going on in public schools. They may not have followed the specific endorsement programs because they're private schools and they have the unique ability to be different, but they may have ensured that their students have real world or career experiences while on their campuses. You may have noticed these through new electives that they're offering, or new after school programs that they may have come up with. So sum it up, under House Bill 5, public school students can graduate with 3 plans. First one is the foundation plan, which is the very basic 22 credits. Now, I want to make clear here, if you graduate only on a foundation plan, which is 22 credits, you are not preparing yourself to go into a 4-year college. But sometimes people have unique areas of study, or they don't plan on going to a 4-year college right away. And so that is out there. There's a foundation plan of just 22 credits. The more common plan is the foundation plan plus endorsements, which is 26 credits. And then the next one, which is the higher, is the distinguished plan, which you do the endorsements, or you can do multiple endorsements and then have either 26 or more credits. Because you can graduate more than one endorsement. So the next screen talks about that last plan that's out there. It's the distinguished level of achievement. On this plan, student may earn a distinguished level of achievement successfully by completing a total of 4 credits in math, which must include Algebra 2, a total of 4 credits in science, English, and social studies, a PE credit, 2 language other than English credits, 1 fine arts, and 2 electives. Students must be required to meet one of the endorsements, and students must earn distinguished level achievement to be eligible for the top 10% of automatic admission. So that's for students, again, graduating from public schools. For automatic admission to public universities, you have to have received that distinguished level. Distinguished now included in your high school transcript and in the process of college admission and scholarship. So this is important to know, especially for those of you guys who are rising 9th graders. This is the stuff that will show up on your transcript. If you were in 8th grade and did a high school class, that will show up on your transcript. So those of you in 8th grade that may have done Algebra 1 or English 1 or a Spanish class, those are high school classes and will show up on your transcripts. Dual credit courses will show up on your transcripts. PSAT, SAT, any of those advanced placement scores, tests, standardized tests will all show up on your transcript. IB exams, how you do on your IB exams, those will show up. So you got some of the questions that were asked last time and some of the questions that you guys may be wondering right now. What is better to do, dual credit or AP or IB? Is second language that important? These are questions that you may have. And again, we're going to be completely straightforward here. There is no correct answer. It really, really matters, depends on what your goals are and what your end goals are. And those are questions that you have to ask yourself what you're trying to achieve and decide what would be a better course for you. So we'll discuss some of that today, is if you're trying to do, what kind of goals that you have, which would match which resources or which programs would be best for you. So the best way to plan and then build your resume for the college's pathway is through self-reflection and conversation with your family. Figure out what your end goals are as much as possible. It is okay to not know everything, but the more you can decide on, the easier your planning and process is. So, and then I'm going to read through these steps as you plan backwards. But one thing that you should do definitely from your 8th grade year, and if you are already beyond an 8th grader, if you're a 10th grader or an 11th grader at this point, and you haven't done this, do so now, is start a Google Doc. Just go into your Google Docs and start a new one. And whenever you accomplish something, whenever you experience something, whenever you do well in an area, or you have a moment of new or deep understanding, jot it down, write down the date, jot down what it was that happened or the feeling that you had, any details. These are the moments and ideas that will later become great college essays, or there'll be points that you will discuss about in interviews that you may find yourself in later on. They'll also, like I said, help you build your resume. So as you're reflecting, think about where you want to be 8 to 10 years from now. Do you want to be in medical school? Do you want to be in law school? Are you going to be in a service field, or maybe a technical field? Or maybe you want to be an entrepreneur managing your own startup business. You don't have to have all the answers, but it helps as much as you can just reflect and think, what do you think, where do you think you want to be in 8 to 10 years? Do you see yourself traveling or studying abroad or even relocated? Perhaps you've started a family. You want to finish your bachelor's degree and that is enough school for you. Is there a specific university that you know you want to attend? In-state, out-of-state, public, private, which one is it? Is money an issue? If you don't receive a scholarship, how will you pay for college? Will it be loans? Will it be a part-time job? Or does that mean that you can't go to a four-year college if you don't have the scholarship? Is there a career or line of study that you already know that you want to do? Are there skills or abilities you know you want to have by then? Do you have any religious goals? Do you want to become a hufaz, become an alim, be fluent in Arabic? These are questions that you have to ask yourself and have as many answers. You may not have all answers to all of them, but if you can answer a few of them, it will help give you direction. And that's the best way to plan for what you do and what your pathway looks like, is just knowing as much as you need to know about, or you can know about your own self. So once you have done some planning and once you have done some reflection, then you can start beginning to match some of those goals with some of the resources that are within your community. Now, there's, again, absolutely no reason to prevent yourself from accomplishing something that you want to do. And I want to make that very, very clear. These days, there's so many opportunities and so many different types of programs that truly anything you want to accomplish, there's a high school program that can meet that need. There's schools out there for the traditional and that non-traditional student. So for example, if you want to travel or study abroad while you're in high school, or after high school, then you can do the IB diploma. An IB diploma, you learn another language, and it is something that is recognized globally. So having an IB diploma would better place you to study abroad, or to go to university, outside of the United States. You could do a magnet school. You could do charters. A lot of magnet schools and charters have programs or opportunities within the school to do school trips where they do go and study abroad for maybe even a semester or sometimes in the summer to other countries. So that's something to look into. If you have goals to become a nurse after high school, and these are just a few examples, by the way, there's so many, but there's just a few examples matching them up with different resources. You could go into an early college high school that has a nursing academy attached to it. For example, Grand Prairie High School has something like that. Magnet schools have something like that, where they collaborate with four-year colleges, and you finish a lot of college courses while you're in high school, and then directly outside of that high school, you go into a four-year college that they've partnered with, and within a year or so, you can come out with your nursing degree, if that's something that's of interest to you. Oops. If it's important for you to play varsity sports and get an athletic scholarship while you're in high school, then there's AAU teams outside of school sports that's important for you to join. Join organizations that will help you with recognition. So even if you're going to a small school and you know that you want to play sports outside of high school, there is, you can still do that. You don't have to go to a big school that will offer the sports to you. You can join an AAU team. You can join, just enlist with the different websites and different programs that are out there that will help get you recognized and help recruiters know where you're at to come and see you. Out-of-state university, if you know that you want to go to an out-of-state university, then maybe you want to look more into the IB program, AP classes, and look for scholarships that are not just offered by the school, but are different various companies and organizations, because out-of-state universities will be more expensive, of course, than going to an in-state university. If you want to go to an in-state public university, you know that for sure. You want to stay close to home. You're not even going to apply outside. Then look towards the AP dual credit pathway. Look towards high school, early high school college programs that will be able to give you, those first 1 to 2 years of college already done, so that when you do go into a in-state public university, you can graduate even early from there. And we'll talk more about AP and dual credit in a little while. I think one of our speakers is going to speak a little bit more about it, so maybe I'll jump in and share a bit more at that time as well. If you want to become a Hufaz, there is a ton of non-traditional programs out there that you can do that. Several students will become a Hufaz, will go through the program and starting in their middle school years, but they don't finish until 9th or even 10th grade. That is okay. If that's important to you, do that. There's non-traditional schools like Premier that will help you with credit recovery. You can, or Penn Foster, you can go and enroll with them when you're starting in your 11th grade year after you finish your Hufaz program. They'll give you credit, they'll help you catch up on the credits, and you will have, finished high school in the 2 years there, because you'll be working through the year and in the summer and making sure you're doing credit recovery and catching up. If Ivy League schools are important to you, then you need to first start off with research. Find out which Ivy school fits best for you, what your goals are, what you're looking for. And GPA is going to be, of course, very important. Extracurriculars are going to be very important. Building relationships with teachers and counselors are going to be very important for you. And if you know that you want to go to Ivy League, then a lot of that legwork starts from when you're in 8th, 9th grade. Making trips, just getting yourself organized. But having these goals, knowing that what you want to do, just helps you know what kind of program you want to go into. Some common high school programs that are out there, your 4-year high schools, you have your IB program, AP and dual credit, endorsement programs. Then there's 4-year high schools that are that are early college high schools. Early college high schools will take away a lot of the extracurriculars, like, for example, you may not be able to do athletics, or you may not be able to do a lot of the fine arts classes, but they'll give you the opportunity to take several college classes starting from your freshman year, so that when you do finish by senior year, you've finished basically 2 years of college. So you finish 6 years of schooling in 4 years. But those are great programs if money is an issue, because you've finished half of your bachelor's degree while you're still in high school. Private schools give a completely different experience. They're a lot more balanced in what you're able to obtain from them. They're balanced in their athletics, arts, and academics, making sure that kids have a balance of every area in service. And then if it's a religiously affiliated private school, an Islamic school, then of course they're very making sure that kids are coming out with that background and that knowledge. There's schools like UNT has, University of North Texas has a TAMS program. It's a high school on a college campus. Students as young as 9th grade can get into those programs, but usually it is students going into it by their 11th, 10th, or 11th grade year. But they are taught, your high school classes are taught by college professors. Now, those are expensive options, but if that's something that you're looking into, and they have discounts, of course, or scholarships when you're going directly from their program into UNT, if you want to attend UNT, for example, then that may be a program that you want to look into. And then, like I said earlier, there's non-traditional programs like Premier or Penn Foster. Both of these are self-paced programs where you do high school at a self-pace, and you can graduate, as little as in a year or 2 years, just depending on what it takes for you. So the next thing that I'd like to share with you guys is just resources. Like I said, I gave you a lot of information in the last 2 slides, but the main thing is once you've reflected, once you've understood what you want to do, and once you've matched up what your goals need to match up with, then get out there and look for resources. And there's resources everywhere. Ask questions. Don't be shy to ask questions, ask for help. And visit these resources, visit your Muslim organizations, make sure that you're involved in your communities. And there's just a lot out there to help you and guide you. There's really nothing that you can hold yourself back. If you know you want to learn something, if you know you want to study something, if you know there's a skill that you want, pursue it. And I promise you, your high school and everything else can match up with what it is that your goals are. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead next and introduce Siraj, or I've already introduced him, but go ahead and give him the mic. And he's going to share his journey. Like I said earlier, Siraj is now a medical student. Mashallah, he's in an accelerated 7-year program, and he graduated with an IB diploma, which is something that, it's rare. And I'm excited to hear about Siraj, share this with you guys. And so with that said, Siraj, I will go ahead and give it to you.
Alrighty, Bismillah. Thank you for having me on. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Siraj. I just wanted to first and foremost congratulate all of you for coming on here. I think just because, this is probably one of the most crucial times in your career, deciding the future. So just being here now and focusing on what's more important for the future shows that you're committed and that you want to take the steps to better yourself. Now, I was asked to speak to all of you today for a few minutes just to kind of talk a bit about my personal journey and the path that I took through the International Baccalaureate program to get to where I am today. So I started off studying pre-primaries in Montessori education, and then I went to Islamic school for about 8 years. When I went to high school, I decided that I wanted to pursue the International Baccalaureate program. So I went to Plano East, which offered an IB World School program, stayed there for 4 years, and I earned my IB diploma when I graduated. So a lot of times I get asked questions about how the transition was, going from an Islamic school to a public school or to a school with higher education program. And to be honest, it's a little bit difficult to get accustomed to. Just in general, the transition shift itself. And I personally left because I wanted to find an experience that would teach me a little bit more about the world and that would make me a more competitive applicant for the goals that I had in mind. So unfortunately, Islamic schools don't necessarily offer the most competitive advantage in terms of education compared to the other big programs. But the one thing that Islamic schools did offer for me was that foundational, basic Islamic education, which I do think is very integral for a lot of Muslims nowadays. So I think that my experiences in both Islamic school and in the IB program gave me a unique perspective in that both I had education about the deen and the dunya. And so I think it's something important that every modern Muslim growing up in America should try to develop for themselves. So I talked a bit about the IB program, and Sister Sadia said it's kind of unique. You don't really hear about it too often. And a lot of people don't really know what it is. So for those unfamiliar with the IB program, it's different from AP or dual credit in that it's a complete program. So it has a set of strict and rigorous requirements that you have to complete. And upon completion of the program, you earn an additional diploma. So you actually graduate with your high school and a second diploma. So to talk about kind of what the IB program is, it's described as interdisciplinary. So you learn a lot of different things in a lot of different fields. I think the focus is to emphasize international mindedness and to foster a holistic approach to education. So they basically teach you to think critically, think out of the box, and think of more than just the basic skills that you'll kind of learn in a high school experience. So how it works is there's 6 areas of study that every student has to take. There are language literature, foreign language, social sciences, experimental sciences, mathematics, and fine arts. And then on top of those 6 areas of study, students are also required to take coursework in theory of knowledge and complete an extended essay. So you have to submit all of that, which is it's a lot of work, but the payoff is definitely there in the end in terms of scholarships, programs opportunities. So the IB actually has several different programs, but the one that we're familiar with and the one I did was the diploma program, which starts in 11th grade. So technically, any student entering 11th grade could enter the IB program and complete it. What differs is that they allow students to start in 9th grade to finish off some of the requirements. And since you have to complete 2 diplomas, there are a lot of requirements. And so they allow you to start early to adequately prepare yourself. So the discussion may not be relevant with IB for anybody who's 11th grade or above, but for any student who was thinking about it or planning on doing it, it's a good idea maybe to start planning early on, maybe 9th, 10th, or even 8th grade, just to kind of see if this is a good fit for you, if this is something you'd want to do. So in the vein of, is it a good fit for you? There's a couple of reasons why any student would want to do an IB program. So, as mentioned earlier, if you have any aspirations to go out of state or, start college credit early, then IB or AP is a good fit for you. If you want to go out of country, like do any study abroad programs or do any international fellowships like Fulbright or Rhodes, then the IB is an especially good fit for you because it offers you the ability to have coursework that is recognized globally. And so these universities like Oxford are going to see that you have the necessary coursework and study that meets the criteria. If that isn't up your alley and you just want, something that looks good on your college applications, you just want to go into a special program like an accelerated program or go to an Ivy League school even, then the reason that IB is still a good fit for you is because it shows to colleges that you took the most rigorous coursework that was available to you. And that's very, very, very important. Because they see how hard it is compared to all the other classes and that you took it and that you excelled at it. Aside from that, if you aren't really sure that any of these apply to you or you're not sure what your aspirations are, your ambitions are, then I could still recommend IB program to students if they want to challenge themselves intellectually. So I like to say that the IB program doesn't just teach you what to think and learn, it teaches you how to think and learn. You're not just a regular student, you become a scholar, right? You learn and train how to be a critical thinker and think out of the box. And that in itself is attested to the immense amount of rigor and just exploration that's required of students that complete through the program. So in that sense, the rigor is a lot of work. It's very taxing physically and mentally, and it can be very time consuming. So it's important that if you're considering doing an IB program, that you make sure you're committed. You weigh the pros and cons and you verify that it's something that you want to do and that you see it through to the end, because it's not for most people. A lot of people can't handle the programs and, it's not something that you want to drop out of necessarily after you've started. So be sure that it's something that you want to do, that's something that's good for you, and that you can make sure you put in the time and effort to get yourself to where you need to be. So a frequently asked question I'll get a lot is, AP versus IB, what's the difference? So I won't really go over AP too much in detail because we're going to mention it later on. But just to speak from my experience as someone who took both AP and IB classes, I can definitely say that IB was a bit more difficult. And that's just simply because IB has a standard curriculum. So rather than picking and choosing what classes you take, you end up required to have mastery in multiple areas of study. So you have to learn foreign language, you have to learn upper level mathematics, you have to learn sciences, and you have to learn, all those different skills. In terms of college credit, you'll get college credit equally from both. The added bonus for an IB program is that you're adequately prepared to take an AP exam after just taking the IB class. So that'll ensure that you get maximum credit for anything. Now, just my whole journey itself, leading up to that point, I get asked a lot, is it something you would do again? It was a lot of work. It was a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in high school that I could have spent, doing other things. So would I choose to go back and do the IB program again? And my answer is, a definite yes. I truly believe that in terms of my acceptances to, to top level universities and to accelerated medical programs and for scholarship purposes, I think the IB program really did set me apart from other students and give me the edge I needed. It was also like a good talking point. It showed colleges that I was prepared, that I was ready, that I was committed. And then on top of that, just for my own personal benefit, I think being in the IB program prepared me in advance for the academic rigor of a college experience and just for maintaining a professional career in general. I felt like I was more prepared than some of my peers were because I already understood the responsibilities. And I think that's important because even now when you're in high school, it's always important to think beyond high school, right? What college you choose depends on the factors such as, are you going to a competitive graduate school? Are you going to have to pay a lot for medical school tuition? Or even what do you want to prioritize in college, right? Do you want to do academics, athletics, service? All that stuff depends on, all the stuff will determine what high school program is best for you. So ask yourself these questions often because they'll help you decide. So in my case, I decided to attend an accelerated 7-year medical program because I felt that would be the most convenient and best option for me to get into medical school. So, for me, it saved me a lot of time. It saved me definitely a lot of money, and it gave me a stress-free application cycle. So I believe that the IB program was the best fit for me and was able to get me to the point where I needed to be so that I could get into the accelerated program. So, after all of that, throughout my journey, I'll leave you guys with a few tips that I learned along the way from, some takeaways. So the first thing is whatever option you choose, whatever program you end up committing to, stay committed, right? See it through to the end. Make sure you're serious about your future and that, you can always see your path through to the end. The second thing is always make sure to think of your future plans and keep the big picture in mind, right? If you're doing an academic program that's very rigorous, it can get very easy to get distracted or to feel like you're wasting all your time studying while everyone else is outside having fun, right? But inshallah, if you have your sights set on the goal, hard work will pay off and you'll see it through to the end. The next thing is to get in the right mindset when you work towards your goals, right? Always prepare yourself mentally to make sure that you can handle the stress and the rigor and overcome all your obstacles, and make sure you tackle all your problems head on. The fourth thing is to make sure that we all have things that we're good at and we all have things that we're not good at. So don't get hung up on those, right? It's important to find out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are so that you can grow as an individual, right? Play to your strengths and build upon your weaknesses, but never let your limitations define you and never let your abilities overshadow your character, right? Because that's what's important. And finally, most importantly though, always, always, always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? As humans, it's in our nature that we're going to fail and that there's only a limit to how much we can do, right? But when we find ourselves in our time of greatest need, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the answers for us. So turn to Allah in times of failure and in times of success, right? Ask Allah for anything and for everything. You'll find it shocking how important and critical dua can be as a tool for a believer. Make istikhara if you're not sure or you have trouble making a decision. And don't underestimate the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His ability for even things as simple like academics or which program of high school you should get into, right? Allah has the answer for all everything. So we should always make sure to turn to Allah. So with that, that's all I got. I'll go ahead and pass on the mantle to our next panelist, and inshallah, I'll be here at the end to answer any questions. Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, Siraj. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Alima. Let me change the screen. And I think my share screen, just real quick, Siraj, when I have my screen shared, are y'all being able to see the panelists on the side as well? Are you only able to see the screen?
Yeah, we can see the side view.
Okay,
also.
so then maybe I need to do this. So
yeah, there we go. Now I can just see the
okay.
slide.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. Well, then with that said, Alima is our next panelist. She is currently a student at UT Arlington, and I'll go ahead and give the mic over to her. Alima.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Alima. I'm currently an upcoming senior at UTA. I kind of combine my junior and senior year. Inshallah, I'll be graduating from UTA's Honors College this coming December. And inshallah, I'll apply to medical school the next May, like this coming May. I graduated from Lamar High School in 2019, and I was on the Distinguished Achievement track and a public service endorsement. So I took medical related classes throughout high school. And then at the end of my junior year, senior year, I applied for UTA and was accepted with the presidential scholarship. And then when I graduated, I was in the top 2% of my class. I'll go ahead and start off with my freshman year at Lamar High School. I started off with my basics. You do your math, your science, and I took as many pre-AP classes as I could during this time because I was thinking that I wanted to take AP classes whenever I was in my junior and senior year. And I think it's really important that you take the pre-AP classes because it does give you kind of an insight of what the AP classes will be looking like. It kind of gives you a taste of what will happen in your later years. I also took one medical related class, which also gave me insight into that I did want to do something medically related during my high school years with the extra classes that I would be taking. And then I also took an athletics period, which took up 2 periods at during my freshman year. And then during my sophomore year, it was kind of very similar. I took more pre-AP classes, and then I was also able to take my first AP class, It wasn't too hard. It was kind of one of the more easier ones. It was a history class, but it did give me a good insight into how my junior and senior year would play out because it was a lot harder than my normal pre-AP classes. And I was able to kind of form my study around that as well. And then I also took another medical related class during that time. And then at the end of my sophomore year, I was able to apply for this program, which was the health, it was a health science theory and lab class where we would be able to earn certifications during this time. So I went ahead and applied for that program at the end of my sophomore year and was able to be accepted into that. And in between that time, they were actually building a new career tech center for my district during that time. So I was able to actually go into that center where they did multiple things like for engineering, welding, EMT, and then all the other certifications that I was able to earn during that time. And then during my junior year, I was able to do more AP classes. I think all of my classes were AP except maybe one. And then I was also able to take my first dual credit class, which is where the local community college allowed you to take classes and earn college credit for Texas. And at this point, I kind of had an idea that I would wanting to be staying in Texas for college, just because I didn't want to move too far away from my family, and also, due to money, it's very expensive if you go out of state for college. So I was able to take my first dual credit class, and the difference between dual credit and AP is that dual credit gives you college credit for sure if you're able to pass the class. AP, on the other hand, if you take the class, you have to take the AP test at the end of the year. And this requires, again, it's not impossible, but it does require a lot of work to study and pass the test. And depending on which college you go to, they do accept different scores. You get a score from 1 to 5. Normally 3 is passing, and then 4. Most colleges accept 4s or 5s because 3, some colleges accept 3, but 4 and 5 is what a lot of colleges accept. But I decided to do dual credit because I did want that for sure credit, and also it was something that was different than AP for that time. And then during that time that I was saying that I took the health science theory and lab class, I was able to start off the first semester with kind of just studying, which is what we did. And then in the second semester, we started clinically applying, started drawing blood, and we had to do 30 sticks in order to get the phlebotomy certification. And then I think it was about 10 to 12 EKGs. And then we also learned how to do CPR and first aid. And then at the end of the second semester, we took the exams for that. And alhamdulillah, I was able to pass the phlebotomy and the EKG certification test for those certifications. Unfortunately, we aren't able to start working in that field until after we graduate. You are supposed to have a high school diploma, but they do hold on to those certifications for you. And once you graduate, you're able to apply those and start working with those. And then my senior year, I was able to apply for a program at the end of my junior year for my senior year where we were able, it was called Health Science Practicum at the center. And what it allows you to do is go out to a hospital, a clinic, a doctor's office, even a pharmacy for those who are interested in that one. And you're able to go out there and shadow the patient care techs, medical assistants, and kind of just shadow them. And then at the end of the year, once you accumulated enough hours, you're able to take the exam for any of those different positions and actually receive that certification as well. So I was able to go to the hospital it was actually near my high school, and I was able to go there about 2 to 3 times a week, depending on, how many times I would go to that class a week. And then I was able to shadow the patient care technicians and even meet some doctors and nurses during that time, which is very, very beneficial because you're able to kind of see the real world while you're still in high school, just a senior in high school. And I was able to shadow them. I was able to, get enough hours for my certification. And then by the end of this second semester, I was able to take my exam and pass the medical assistant certification. They did offer whether I wanted to do patient care tech or medical assistant, but I decided to go ahead and go with medical assistant because I read that online, just kind of doing my research. You're able to do medical assistant in, doctor's offices, hospitals, while patient care tech is more limited to just hospitals. So I kind of wanted that versatility. And then, during senior year is also when you start applying for colleges and everything. And during this time, I was also taking AP classes. I did have the option of going ahead and going with dual credit during this time again. But this was also the time when I was thinking more of my rank and my GPA. And I really wanted to kind of be more higher in my class. And with my high school, dual credit does not count towards your GPA. It only gives you the credit. It doesn't count toward, it doesn't hurt or it doesn't, benefit your GPA, but AP did benefit my GPA. So I took as many AP classes as I could, and I was able to increase my rank. I think about 1 to 2 spots. So I was able to kind of move up in that percentage, which was something I was, really looking forward to. But so that's why I took many AP classes. It was very tough. I think at the end of my senior year, I took about 7 AP exams. So I had 8 AP exams, sorry. So I had 4 per week because it's 2 weeks per testing. But it was very stressful at that time. But because you do have to study outside of class, although during the class time, they do prepare you as much as they can. At the end of the day, you have to take the studying at home and do as much as you can. Otherwise, it's not going to be just enough to pass the exam and do well on the exam as well. But so during that time, whenever I was applying for colleges, I did apply to UTA, which is where I'm currently going. And then I also applied to UT Dallas. During that time, I was very set on going to UTD. I had received a half scholarship from them, and I was, disappointed at this because I thought I had, worked hard enough in my GPA and everything, but also it's very important that you do extracurriculars as well, so they look at that. But once I realized that, I did try to contest it to try and receive a higher scholarship. And I was, even if I didn't receive a higher scholarship, I was very set on going to UTD at that time. But then I realized I was just sitting down one day in my room, and I was thinking, I was like, kind of just, weighing out the different pros and cons between going to which college. And I kind of thought to myself, I was like, UTA, I have many friends that I've known since my childhood that are going there. It's close to my house. I won't be far away from my family. Again, money was a very big factor as well. I wanted to save money enough to, inshallah, one day go to medical school. So that was a very big factor for me. And then I was thinking that UTA might be the better choice for me. And that's why I ended up picking it. And honestly, I can say that I'm very happy with this choice as well. I've been able to meet more people, save money in the process and everything. And I was able to receive the full ride from UTA as well with this one, which I was really happy about. But again, just some tips that I was saying is, again, you do need to study outside of school in order to do beneficial with those AP exams. And then when you are applying to college, it is very important to kind of think about the pros and cons. Think about, don't just think about one college. There's others out there that you need to do and just kind of benefit the pros and cons between those ones. And sorry, I forgot to mention also that I am in the UTA Honor College, and I applied for this one during my senior year whenever I was applying for, the application to UTA. And I decided also another big reason for me going to UTA was being accepted into the Honors College, because I was thinking about when I was going to be applying to medical school in the future, and my major is biology. So I think a lot of people, when they apply to medical school, biology is a very big major. So I thought, I was thinking that the Honors College would be kind of something that would separate me from some of the applicants. And also it's very beneficial because you get to kind of work with professors one-on-one and kind of talk to professors by yourself, which is I think a lot of people have a harder time. But with Honors College, it kind of allows you to do this because you have to work with your professors in order to get credit for the classes. And also it allows you to do other things like research and with your professors. And there's just many various things that it provides a benefit to you. And then also another tip from me is just kind of think about college early. Don't wait until your junior year, your senior year. Kind of start thinking in your freshman, sophomore year, where would you like to go? Because if you kind of have an idea, then you can kind of start beginning your plan early. Again, don't stress about it, but just kind of start thinking about it. That's very important. And then also just get involved. You want to see what you're interested in outside of school. School is very important, but there's also different clubs that you can join at your school. Get involved just outside of school is very important. And then also keep your family very involved in your decisions. For me, I always talk to my mom about what I'm gonna be doing, and they always just give you very advice because it is your family and they'll always be there for you. So that's very important. And that's pretty much it. So thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Lima. Thank you. So next here we go. Next we have Miss Julia. She is an admissions coordinator at UT Arlington. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that she can share her screen. Okay, Miss Julia, you should be able to share your screen. Perfect. Thank you. And then I'll go ahead and
Green.
yes, and I'll go ahead and give the mic over to you.
All right, thank you. So hello everyone, I am Julia Garrido. I am an admissions coordinator for the University of UT Arlington. It's really great to see someone attending UTA. And I'm gonna talk about a few things at UTA and make it gonna go kind of quick. So your future starts here. So this is usually where students come to view the university. This is probably one of the first buildings you encounter when you visit. It's called College Park. And a lot of great things happen here, such as some orientation events, Mavericks series or basketball games, plenty of other events as well. So we are located in Arlington, for those of you that are not familiar with DFW. So it's about a 10 walking distance approximately from the AT&T Stadium. And, you know, we're close to Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, Glow Life Field, where, you know, the new Texas Ranger Stadium is located. There's plenty of food options, which is one of my favorite. And, you know, I would say we are kind of the heart of DFW. So UTA has a lot of top ranking programs, and to name a few, right, is our engineering program, which a lot of collaboration actually happens with other you know, colleges and majors around campus. So there is a lot of that collaboration that does happen, especially if you are in an honors program, just like previous speaker just talked about. So just something to keep in mind. We do have the business program if you're interested in finance, right? We do actually have Wall Street here in Arlington. So you get to see the stock market. You don't have to go all the way to New York to do that. You know, this is something that you are interested in, you know, coming to UTA is something that you would want to do. If you are interested in nursing, then we are #1 in Texas for most amount of nurses produced in Texas, basically. So this goes along with the on-campus program, which is very hands-on since we do have a smart hospital. And also we do have an online program as well. As you can see here, this is going to be our new building for the College of Nursing and Health Innovation, as well as our social work program. So they're going to be in one building collaborating with each other, because we've seen that students actually will benefit from working alongside each other, because this actually happens in, you know, the real hospitals, the clinics. You know, there's just a lot of collaboration, and we want to teach our students that. And then as you can see here, yes, this is a fountain, right? But it was actually designed and created by our engineering and architectural students. So we are #1 in Texas, #2 in the nation for lowest student debt. UTA is very generous with the amount of aid that we give students. So just like, you know, previous speaker said, you know, she did come to UTA because she received a full ride basically when she attended, but she got the presidential scholarship. So if you apply early, you definitely want to, you know, come to UTA, because there's a lot of opportunity opportunities when it comes to money. In order to be able to receive those type of scholarships, right, you do want to apply for financial aid. We have multiple students that apply for financial aid, just because in order to receive scholarship money, this is how it will be dispersed. And you'll apply through FAFSA or TASFA, and both of those applications open October 1st. Of your mail, you have to register for the selective service. Once all of that is done, you want to check your math mail, see if you're selected for verification. This is a process that financial aid we'll choose a couple of students. It's a random selection, and they just have to verify their information. Of course, you would want to accept your awards by May 1st. So when I mean awards, I'm meaning scholarships that are being offered to students. You don't want to miss out. We are a non-binary school, which means that if you select that scholarship, that doesn't necessarily saying that you are committing to UTA. It's just kind of having like that backup plan, right? I always tell students. And then you just want to make sure you apply early, because you want to make sure you receive the TAFIS grant. This grant does end pretty quick, so the sooner you do it, the better. And then to talk about the merit-based scholarships, we do have multiple award options for students. So one of them would be up to $12,000, which covers like the full tuition, right? Up to $10,000 would be like the presidential scholar. The $12,000 is the presidential honor scholar. And then we have the one that goes all the way up to $8,000. So this is a $2,000 annually over 4 years. It's $8,000. And then we have the Maverick Academic Scholarship. It's $4,000 to $8,000. So it will vary, right? Over the 4 years, 16 to 32. And then the Maverick Academic Scholarship. This is if students have don't have like a really strong GPA, or they're not in the top of like their class rank, but they have taken, let's say, we've been talking a lot about those IB programs, the AP, the dual credit. So if they've taken more than 3 classes, then they can receive $1,000 scholarship, right? So all of them have different requirements in order to be eligible to receive these scholarships. So you always want to make sure and you go ahead and apply early. So how do you do that? You'd want to apply either on Access or the Common App. You'll submit the $75 app fee. For some schools, they will have SAT, ACT fee waiver or NACAC fee waiver. So you always want to make sure you ask your counselor. And then also UTA has implemented UTA fee waivers. So the way you can receive these is by attending some of our events where we will designate those fee waivers to students. They're just selective events, not every event, and not everyone can receive one. So you do have to go ahead and attend those events in order to be able to receive those fee waivers. And then this year also the SAT, ACT will be optional once again due to COVID. So we are not making any students submit those SAT, ACT scores. And then finally, you want to make sure you are submitting your high school transcript. And if you've taken any dual credit courses, you'd want to make sure to submit your college transcript as well. I've seen it where a lot of students tend to forget this step, and then, you know, they're not receiving their credit for college, but also we're not seeing that they are ready to attend UTA. So this is just something to keep in mind. Also, for UTA, our application is really easy and simple. There's no essay requirements, no resumes or letters of recommendation that students have to submit. So our application, like I said, is just really simple. And then how do you get admitted? So because of COVID, once again, we have changed a lot of the requirements. So if you're in the top 25% of your class, there's no minimum for SAT or ACT, as we made them optional, right? But you'll be automatically admitted. All you have to do is go ahead and submit, the list that I just gave you in the previous slide. And then if you're in the second, third, fourth quarter, or let's say you're at a school where there's no ranking, then you'd want to, then your application will go into what we call an individual review, where we're looking at your GPA, your class rank, courses taken, any other relevant criteria, right? So just keep that in mind. And then also, if your school does the unweighted GPA, you'd want to make sure they do the weighted GPA. So always talk to your counselor about that, because this can actually prevent you from receiving, let's say, a scholarship, right? So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And then I always like to talk about the undocumented DACA student recipients, right? So there's always extra steps that students would have to take. So this is where they'd have to submit or notarize SB 1528 affidavit. You will have to apply it as a TASFA student. You'll submit, your TASFA before or by January 15th. You have to submit the high school transcript and, the TB immunization shot as well. And then, of course, for any questions that you may have, you can reach me through my email. This is my phone number. You can set up an appointment with me. All you'd have to do is just take a picture of the QR code and it'll tell you the availability of my calendar. And then I have provided different QR codes up here. One is called Map Advantage. So this is a program that UTA has provided for students to just go ahead and take on a little bit more so that they can add to their resume, so that when they graduate UTA, they'll be able to find, a job. And then, of course, virtual events that we have that you don't want to miss out on. We do have UTA tours. We are starting the in-person tours. They are very limited, just still due to COVID. I know a lot of the restrictions have been taken off, but we still want to make sure that we're providing that safety for students, staff, and future students, of course. And then we have all of our academics here and Math Scholarship, which I didn't talk about this in the slide, but we do have a separate website where we provide different scholarship opportunities for students. You can apply while you're an incoming student. You do have to be admitted though. And then while you're a student, you can go on to this website as well to go ahead and apply for those scholarships. So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, we'll be taking those questions later on in the panel. And
thank you, Julia. And I know Ms. Julia spoke a lot about the UTA process, but she is able to answer just general questions about the college process if you want to just generally apply anywhere. So in the Q&A, you're more than welcome to ask those questions, and she'd be able to address those as well. So I am going to share my screen one more time, and then let's do this. And just real quick before we wrap up and do go, excuse me, into the Q&A, I'd like to just talk about a few of our key takeaways So today we refocused our intentions and we spoke about having the right mindset, just remembering what the purpose of all of this is, and what you're going out and getting your education for, and refining your talent or your gift for, and what you're going to do with it. We talked about planning backwards. Try to know your end goals as best as possible. If you know where you're trying to get, if you know what you want to achieve, if you know what you want to be able to do or know, then you can create that pathway or that road a lot better. It'll make it a lot easier for you as you're trying to plan out what you want to do or the steps you want to take to achieve those goals or skills that you have set out to do. Seek out the resources in your community, on the internet, within the people that you meet. Build relationships with your teachers, with your counselors at school, with local community members, with people who've been there, people like Alima and Siraj and Amar who introduced us. They've been through the process. If you know individuals that have been through the process, have conversations with them, learn from them, learn from their wisdom. And then seek beneficial opportunities wherever they are. Even if you're, taking a trip to, going to another country, you're just taking a vacation trip. See how you can enrich yourself from that experience. Jot down anything that you may have learned on that trip, that you don't know what experience, what moment of learning is going to be the moment that's where you're going to have a thought that's going to guide you towards the next goal that you want, or it's going to make a great essay for you in the future. So just seek your opportunities, always be aware wherever you are in everything that you do. And then be ready to put in, this is very, very important. And this is probably the most important thing for a student to understand and for a student to know. You need to be able to be ready to put in that work. You have to have that grit, the tenacity, and the perseverance to grow and to become the best version of yourself. It's not easy. It's never easy. Once you decide that you want to be as successful as you can, or you want to be the best version of your own self, then there is work that needs to be put into that. Even though you're pursuing something you love, even though it's a passion of yours, to refine it, to be the best at it, or better than what you are, the better version of yourself, you will have to put in a lot of work towards that, and just be ready for that. And then there's really nothing, inshallah, that can stop you from achieving what you want to achieve. So with that, would like to go ahead and move into our Q&A session. I have emails here from each of our speakers. So if you would like to jot those down, please feel free to. They are, well, I'm making sure that you guys can see the whole screen there. They are more than happy to share their emails with you. If you have any questions, email them and they can respond. I've shared my cell phone number as well. Don't mind anyone texting me. So that's there. With that said, I will go ahead and open it up to the Q&A. Panelists, if you guys can put your videos back on, and then I'm going to stop sharing so I can see the chat room. And I want to start with a few of the questions that I saw in the chat room and just some real quick information. So if you have a question, I think we have a few enough participants at this moment that you can just unmute yourself and just ask your question. I'm going to go ahead and address the ones that are in the chat box right now. And then after that, anyone can just unmute and ask. Or you can continue to write in the chat box if you want to. First, I think it was already addressed, but there's questions about the recording. And yes, it will be posted on the site. And I think there was a link in there that shared that information. So please look at the chat box that has been addressed. Afeeb Mohammed asked about scholarships and scores that are required to get admitted into Ivy League schools. So my information, and maybe Mr. Leah, you can add a little bit onto this, and even our student speakers, Ivy League schools don't give truly much scholarships. There's not very many scholarships out there from the school itself, but there are tons of organizations and private companies or just big organizations that do give scholarships. And there's just, you just have to get on the internet, talk to your counselor. There's a lot of information out there. Start applying for those as early as in middle school. And you'd be surprised how many scholarships you can obtain. It's not easy. Again, there's a lot of writing that you have to do, and there's, you're applying for these scholarships, but it is possible to acquire as much as you can through that process. And then if any of the other panelists want to add to that.
Yes, that is correct. So with scholarship opportunities, I've always told my students, right, go ahead and apply early, right? So example, let's say there is a scholarship that you think you qualify for. You always want to make sure also you're reading the eligibility requirements, because sometimes you can say, oh, there's, this amount of money that they're giving, but if you don't meet those requirements, then unfortunately you will put in a lot of effort and time into a scholarship that is not meant for you. So want to make sure you're doing that first. And then also if there is, let's say the deadline is on the 15th, right? And we are probably at the end of, let's say, previous month, you want to make sure you have it ready and have someone review your essay, that you are answering the question, that you don't have any misspellings in, your essay. And then once you've had someone review it, you've done all the edits to your essay, then you'd want to make sure to submit. So that's just a pro tip for everyone.
Yeah. And I want to add on there that it's not easy. It's not hard, but it is not easy as you're applying for scholarships. But look at it as if you have a summer job and you're going to your summer job and you're earning probably minimum wage. So you're going to apply to whatever number of scholarships and take the time to do that. You're improving your writing skills, you're improving that, but the amount of money that you will hopefully get through writing those scholarships is definitely going to be over the amount of money that you would get from doing some sort of a after-school job or a summer job. And so you learn a lot too, because if there's something that you need to write specifically about, maybe that whatever that's asking you to write about, there may be some research that's involved in that process as well. So, but definitely there is monies that are out there for you to obtain. Would any of the others?
Yeah, I just want to add that Ivy Leagues don't necessarily offer merit aid scholarships, but they will offer financial aid scholarships. So if you qualify for that, you can definitely benefit from applying for financial aid. And then on top of that, there are also other companies that offer halal loans for, like, Wahed or ACC. So you can get qualify for those as well if you qualify for those.
Okay, Michelle. Okay, a next question was, how can homeschoolers work out on the sports scholarship? So I'll add a little bit on here, a little bit of experience with this. So regardless of what school, unless you're going to a very big public school, it already has a lot of visibility and radar on different colleges that come and recruit from. Even if it's a small, charter school or a private school, you're in the same boat as homeschoolers when it comes to scholarships for athletics, because you want recognition. So the best thing to do is see how you can get involved in AAU sports, that's Amateur Athletic Association, and get out there, and because you get a lot of exposure through those that organization, because they go and compete with other athletes that are playing at the same competitive level that you are at. And so there's your junior, senior years, there's recruiters that come to those events to come and see players who are playing at those, and talk to your coach that is going to be, whoever your AAU coach is. And then other than that, there's online programs, online websites that you can register yourself as an athlete through, and they'll give you ideas, and they'll give you just exposure tips, things like that you can do to become just get yourself out there. That's the whole point. And then of course, when you apply, that's definitely something that I think that you share, and maybe our other panelists can have some more ideas about that. But the first step, I think, especially for those of you that are younger, is definitely getting involved in something, in some sort of an AAU sport within whatever sport it is that you want to play. Do anyone of you guys want to add to anything on that? No? Okay.
I'll go. For anyone that's interested in athletics also, I keep on hearing, right, the same, it's not easy. So it's a lot of work as well. Maybe you are not putting a lot of effort in like studying, right? But when you are an athlete, you are also dedicating a lot of time into your training. So you want to look at it one way or another. You're still putting in a lot of effort into what you decide to do. So once again, it's not easy, but it's not also impossible to do. So you just have to decide on what you're focused in, and then that's how you will make your decision. But it can go both ways, either spending a lot of time practicing, studying, right? Or practicing in the type of sport that you're deciding to get involved in.
Yeah. The next question is for Alima and Siraj. How did you guys get a full scholarship? This is from Yusra. Was it due to your SAT scores?
Okay, I guess I'll just go first. For me, I think UTA bases it off of your SAT or ACT scores mostly is what I think. So for me, I was at first going for SAT, but and then I took a practice ACT test, and I realized because it has a science section, and I think that I did way better on ACT than I did SAT. And I did like a summer tutoring sessions where I would go I think 2, maybe 3 times a week, every week during the whole summer. And then I took the ACT by the end of that, and that's kind of what really prepared me for that. And then I got a decently high ACT score, and then I think that's what basically I got most of my scholarship based off of the ACT score. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it also depends. For some schools that I applied to, the score and GPA were enough. For some of the medical programs I was in, they kind of looked at more stuff holistically. So to echo that, I also took the ACT. I got a 36, so that helped me a lot. GPA is definitely important to have a high GPA. And then, as I mentioned, the IB program, I think I took a total of 6 IB exams and 12 AP exams. So just having a lot out there just shows colleges that there's a lot too. And then on top of that, extracurriculars, a lot of programs really look at extracurriculars. So I don't it's for medical school specifically for my programs, they wanted to see that you're well-rounded, not just academically. So for me, I was a black belt, I was an Eagle Scout, and then I was president of MSA and had club stuff too. So just having extracurriculars, academics, and having a balance of everything really helps to get for those scholarships.
Okay. Next question is from Mariam, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to say the name incorrectly here, but Yousafzai Mariam. She's an 8th grade student, and she's still not clear about the dual credit versus AP classes. Which one is better for a science field? She goes to an Islamic school and it doesn't offer as many AP classes as it does dual credit opportunities. So she's looking for some advice on AP versus dual credit.
I was kind of stuck on that too at first. I think it really depends on what you want to do. If you want to focus on your, because it also depends on whether your school, if dual credit affects your GPA or not. For me, as I said before, the dual credit didn't benefit me when in terms of my GPA, but AP did. So I think if you think that you could put in the work for AP exams and pass the exams and get a good score on that, then I think that's a good idea. or if you want to, like for me, my school didn't offer that much dual credit. It only offered, I believe, 2 or 3 classes. So I didn't really have a lot of options for dual credit. So that's why I took AP. But it just really depends on what college you want to go to. And if you're staying in state, then dual credit is an option for you. Or if you're going out of state, then you should stick to AP because that's where you're going to get college credit for. And then again, if you're looking to increase your GPA, then, you know, and if dual credit doesn't do that for you, then I guess I would recommend going ahead and doing AP, because you do get the GPA boost, and you also get the college credit if you pass the exam. For me, again, I think because I did want to increase my GPA, I would just kind of stick with what I did. I wouldn't change how I did anything. So I would just go ahead and keep doing the AP. Maybe I would have taken another dual credit class, but I think I would have stuck with AP just because it did give me the GPA and the college credit if I passed the test.
Yeah, I would echo that as okay. I would echo that as well. I know it's like Islamic school. I went to BHA. They didn't really offer. I think back then they didn't offer a single AP class, and they only offered dual credit. So you know, AP and IB classes do help your GPA a lot more than dual credit. If they don't offer that, what you can do is you can take the dual credit classes, and that'll get you credit for in-state, and then you can just self-study for the AP exam. So it'll be a little bit more material, but it'll be more manageable if you've already taken the dual credit equivalent for it. So self-study, and that'll give you any credit you need to, if you want to apply out of state as well.
Yeah, and I was going to basically say what Siraj just said. You can self-study and still take the AP exams that may not be offered at your school. And then also something he said earlier is that when you're applying to colleges, they want to see that you took advantage of the most rigorous program that your high school had to offer. So even if it doesn't offer a lot of AP classes, the ones that it does offer, go ahead and take them. But like Alima said, you do want to be ready to put the work in to be able to do well on that AP test that's you're going to take. If you don't think for whatever reason that you're going to do well on the AP test, or, you know, maybe you just don't have that the time to study for it, then fall back with the dual credit so that you can at least get that college credit. Okay. Next question, I think this one is for you, Siraj. Can you take the IB program and also take AP or dual credit at the same time?
So AP, yes, you can. I took several AP classes at the same time, and then even for the class that I took IB, I was able to take the equivalent AP exam afterward with minimal studying. So AP, definitely yes. Dual credit, you're able to take the dual credit classes, but it's definitely not recommended. It's very difficult because dual credit, there's specific classes you have to work in together with the community college, and IB has very specific classes you're also required to take. So I don't know if you'll be able to pull it off with the amount of work that's required, but AP definitely, yes, you will.
Yeah. And I just want to add on there, I don't think you want to. If you're doing the IB program, you're doing it because you're probably looking for more than just a local college to go into. And dual credit is not going to help you with the colleges that you're going to most likely be applying to. So whereas AP and IB can absolutely be, you know, go together. I mean, it's still hard because IB is an entire program on its own. But dual credit really it's very different from that. So you may not want to even do dual credit. Next question. Also, how do you prepare for this is from Atheeb Mohammed. How do you prepare for the SATs? So I'll let you guys take that. Alima, Siraj. How did y'all prepare?
I took ACT, but again, I did that summer tutoring session. And they what they had me do was some days I would come in and I would just kind of work with either a math or the English language tutor, and they would just have me do practice problems like on my own. And then if I had any questions, I would just ask them. And then some days they would make me do practice tests, which I think is very important. Do as many practice tests as you can, because once you get familiar with the way the test is worded and everything, then you're just going to know how to answer the questions. That's a very big thing. Just taking a lot of practice tests is really important.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I attended a college prep. It's called Karen Dillard's KD. It does SAT, ACT, all that stuff. It's a little bit expensive, but it's like for all 4 years. I'm not exactly sure like where the locations are now, but I would definitely recommend, like, that's probably the most optimal test prep for you. Like for all 4 years, you can come in. They basically have you take like diagnostic tests, and then they put you in classes based on your scores to help you improve. So, you know, that easily helped me a lot with the ACT prep to get the score I did.
I want to make, you know, I want to say, so for the SAT, UTA actually does have math prep over like the fall and spring semester. It's 4 weekends that you dedicate your time to. They usually start off, I want to say like in September and go through like the first week of October. And then in the spring semester, we'll have it starting in February, and it'll be like the whole month of February. So we do have prep for math only. And then I know you go ahead and you do some research. There's other universities that will also have some other prep sessions, and they can also be free. But if you do have the means also like to pay for, you know, just like Siraj said, make sure, or Alima, right? Make sure that you are taking advantage of those prep sessions because they are going to increase your SAT score. Now, keep in mind though, I know Alima said that she did well in her SAT and that's why she got the presidential scholarship. Some schools are not requiring those SAT scores. Yes, they are optional, but she is right. We are still looking at those test scores, and that's how you are going to receive scholarship opportunities. So make sure that you are looking at the schools that you're interested in and see what score you need in order to receive a scholarship for that particular school, because they all will have different requirements.
Okay, that's awesome insight. Thank you. The next question is, if you want to go to an Ivy League school for medical school, this is from Medea Fatma, what extracurriculars should you do? Or is it just general with either Ivy or medical school? Or in general, what extracurriculars are best to take? So I'm going to add a little bit on here before our other panelists speak in. Medea, what I'm going to say is that really it's not going to matter what any particular extracurricular over the other. What's going to matter is what you are most passionate about and how you'll share that passion when it comes time to share that with that Ivy school. One of the questions that you're going to get asked, whether it's in writing or whether in person, is what makes you you and what's special about you. And so you want to be able to speak towards whatever your passions are, whatever your gift is, and the extracurriculars that you did to help with that. So maybe you found it through an extracurricular did, or maybe you went towards an extracurricular because that was something you enjoyed doing. So it's very personal. I don't think there's a better or a right one to do. And then you guys share.
Sorry, was the question about going to an Ivy League for college or for medical school?
No, it just says Ivy League school for medical school. What extracurriculars should you do?
Yeah, so I mean, for undergraduate, exactly what you said. You know, the stuff you're passionate about, just a lot of well-rounded stuff overall. For medical school, though, they do require certain things like you need research, you need a certain number of hours of shadowing, community service. So those are stuff that you can do in high school. Like I did shadowing in high school. You can volunteer at the hospital. That's a really good way for if you're even like just for college if you're on the track for medical school, that's a good thing to do. So shadowing, research, and volunteering.
Okay, good. I think Alima, you wanted to share about the medical assistant. That's actually brings me to that.
Oh, yeah. So with the certifications that you get, you can also apply them once you graduate from high school. And then inshallah, since I'm graduating early, I'll be able to have like a gap year in between medical school, inshallah, if I get accepted, and from normal bachelor, and I'll be able to apply for jobs and work as a medical assistant in between that time, or even a phlebotomist during that time, which is really important. So if you get those certifications in high school, you're able to apply that in the real world and get experience from that.
And Medea, if you want to unmute and ask anything else, to be more specific with your question, if this answer wasn't enough.
No, this answer was good, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, Lukman has a question. He's saying, is there a tool or something where students can use to narrow down their career choices? There's a lot of tools that are online. Ms. Julia, do you want to take this one?
Can you repeat it again? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is there a tool or something students can use to narrow down their career choices?
As far as tools that I know, no, but when you are focusing on your career choice, I would say make sure you're looking for like volunteer opportunities, right? Or something that you can do on your own based on what type of career you want to go into. Also going into like each school and making sure that they offer, let's say, your major, because let's say you want to go into an example from a coworker. We talked about this previously. It was like a student wanted to be a nurse and she went to a different institution, but that institution did not offer, you know, nursing school. UTA does offer it. And she kept on saying like, you should go to UTA, you know, and then she ended up going and getting into the field and studying, and then she decided that that wasn't her passion. So I want to say like maybe focusing on different career options that you might be interested in. And just like Alima, Siraj, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they started kind of working towards that, right? By getting certification. So I hear a lot of times students say, oh, I want to be nursing, right? I'll focus on nursing. And then they get into the classes and they're like, I don't like science. I don't like this. So you don't want to wait until you are, you know, a junior in college and want to decide to change your major. You want to start doing everything before. Try to do internships if you can. You know, there's a lot of internship opportunities in high school, you know, and just take advantage of that, because I've seen a lot of students end up changing, you know, their minds on the different career option that they want to choose from. I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to add, I want to add to that there are several cities who have programs through the city. So go on to the city websites and see what kind of opportunities they have for volunteering. Some, you know, may offer programs where you can get involved in local court systems, local, if you know, veterinarian offices, or even with just parks and recreation. So they're just different programs that can give you just real experience while you're in high school in those fields, and you can see whether or not you enjoy them. Other than that, there's tons of personality quizzes and tests that you can do for free, or you can even purchase that are online that will help you decide, you know, what are the areas that you enjoy doing? What are the types of tasks that you enjoy doing? And they will you know, narrow it down for some career choices. High school counselors are huge resources for this as well. Talk to your high school counselor and tell them that you would like to, you know, see what some different just personality type, battery tests, things like that, assessments that will help you. They'll have tons that they can share with you. So there's a lot out there that can help you narrow it down. And then just learning more about yourself will give you a better idea on what it is that you want to do as a career choice. Okay, so I think the next few questions are about IB. So I'm going to put them together, and Siraj, if you want to take them, and then anybody else wants to jump in. So this one's specific to you. It says, ask Siraj, this Yusuf Mohammed, he's going to begin the IB program in 11th grade, and he's going to 10th grade next year though. He just wants some clarification on what the 7-year medical program was, how you applied, and any advice for people planning to take that route.
Okay, so the 7-year accelerated medical program it functions as a combined bachelor's and medical program. So you apply in high school and you get accepted to a program that is basically automatic admission into medical school. So I was admitted into medical school when I graduated from high school. It's guaranteed. So it's a very rigorous application process. You have to submit, when you're submitting the primary application on the Common App, you have to submit like several essays. You have to submit the different parts of the application. Once that gets approved from the undergraduate, the college you're going to, they will interview you, decide whether you're a good fit candidate or not. Then they will forward your application to the medical school. The medical school will then send you another secondary application. You will fill that out. And then if you approve that stage, the medical school will call you in for an interview. And then at that point, you interview the medical school, you tour there. And then if you get accepted there, the way the program works is you spend 3 years in undergrad. So you can do whatever you want undergrad. My program gave me a lot of flexibility. So they gave a full ride scholarship for undergraduate. Since I'm out of state, they covered my in-state. They made it easy for me to apply for in-state tuition. So it saved off like $30,000 a year for medical school because it's a lot for out of state. My program also said you have to take the MCAT, but there's no minimum. So a lot of students have a lot of stress, worrying about the MCAT getting a good score. They said you just take it, you write your name on it, that's it. You don't have to worry about getting a minimum score. There is a minimum GPA requirement. I think it was like a 3.5. And then in terms of actual major, they said, you can do whatever you want. So I actually majored in biomedical engineering with a minor in applied mathematics because I thought it, would just be fun to learn and interesting to do. The program itself, it comes with a lot of flexibility, but on the other hand, it's very difficult to get into. Like it's a lower acceptance rate than some Ivy League schools. So you do have to plan a lot and prepare for it. What they want to see the most is that you're committed to medical school. And the thing is, it's a very big decision because they're committing someone to the class, to their medical school class at the age of 17. So they want to see that you're mature, that you're capable, and that you're committed. And that I know a lot of people, they try to apply and then they find out medicine's not for them. So at these interviews, they will guarantee and determine if, I was helping at my undergraduate institution, I was helping them interview. And there was one student where they got them to admit that their parent was forcing them to do it, like behind the scenes. So this is definitely something that you should only consider if you're dead set on medicine. And the reason it ends up working so well is because it saves 1 year of your time. It saves you a lot of money and it saves you a lot of trouble for applying. If those places all apply to you, then I would recommend doing a medical program. I think that was all parts of the question. I think in terms of advice for someone trying to apply, definitely you start early, like early in high school, you should try to focus on getting those opportunities. So make sure you're doing some sort of shadowing with doctors, make sure you're doing volunteering a lot, make sure you're doing a lot of community service. It's the simple things, but they want to see that you have it all stacked up at the end and that you have a lot of well-roundedness to your application, not just the academics. I think I answered most of the parts.
Okay, yeah, Michelle. Yusuf, do you want to unmute and ask anything else? No, okay. Okay, then I'll go ahead and move on. So Homa has a question about IB as well. She's saying, if your school district does not offer IB program, is there a way to join the IB program? So I want to add just real quick on that one. So there is specific like magnet schools or charter schools that have IB programs. So if your school district itself does not offer it anywhere in any of its high school campuses, then there are individual like charter campuses or magnet campuses that you can apply to that will have that IB program. But Siraj has a similar story of how he went from middle school to high school that didn't have the IB program, so he can share.
Yeah, so I actually live in Richardson. I live like right next to INT, like just walking distance. And I went to Plano East Senior High, so it's an out of district school. As you know, it was a half-an-hour drive every day. But I think when I went there, that was the first year they opened up to 9th grade students, so they were allowing out of district. I'm not sure if they allow out of district students now. I heard that they got a lot of students coming in, so they had to limit it. But I think there are other IB programs like in Garland or other districts that may accept out of if you're out of district.
Yeah. Okay. Kashi Ahmed has a question. What can we start doing now to start prep for college for my sons who just got into 9th grade and into 6th grade? So I think prep for college, and and I think everybody will have a little bit to add to that one. It's just pretty much everything that we've been saying. Just get involved, do well at school. A lot of students go into from middle school to 9th grade, not completely understanding the full, the importance of their 9th grade year. So make sure you treat your 9th grade. I mean, you are in high school now. Really, for a lot of 8th graders, it starts because you have some high school classes when you're in 8th grade. But definitely when you're in 9th grade, you are a high school student now, and everything starts counting and will show up on your transcript. So do well in your classes, do the best that you can, be involved within your school and outside of your school. Have experiences, and don't just go through experiences to add to that resume or to a transcript, but have the experiences to really learn from them, because it's going to make you a better person, a better student, and just overall well-balanced and able to just have that more self-awareness. So, when you get involved in programs, really get involved, dive in, and do the most that you can, learn the best that you can from whatever it is that you're doing. But that's the best thing, is be more just aware of your environment, what resources it has to offer. Have your friends, definitely, but more than just hanging out with friends, maybe join friends and have a project that you guys are doing together. Make some of those choices, and that you're actively out there trying to just become better and just improve upon whatever it is that you are and what you can do.
I want to say something with that. So yes, your 9th grade, even though you're like, it doesn't matter, it matters a lot. So I am part of a team at UTA, and we look at the students' grades. So let's say if you do not understand a subject, and it could be math, it could be reading, whatever it is, right? Go and ask for help. There's tutoring, start study groups, right? Don't wait until you get into college to do study groups. Start them early, because that is really going to help. So remember I mentioned about ranks. So whatever grades you receive in your 9th grade, that's how your rank will be determined. And I feel like this is not something we talk a lot about per se. And so you are kind of getting a lot of information from this webinar, and you want to make sure that you are taking it in and putting all that, all the pros and tips that we're giving you, right, into existence. So make sure to take it and just do your best in whatever you do. But if you are struggling, it's okay to ask for help. Just remember that.
Yeah, good advice. Okay, Siraj, Alima, do you want to add to that at all? No? Okay. Medea has a question about Ivy League. She says she wants to go into an Ivy League school for medical school, and she'll be starting 9th grade this fall with a NYP IB program next year, with all the AP classes available. With this in mind, what would be better to take, ACT or SAT? She'll also be taking the IB diploma program in her 11th and 12th grade year.
I think in terms of what you said, the best option for you, to be honest, is, since you said you're starting 9th grade this fall, so what I would do is start doing college prep, for ACT, SAT, and kind of maybe, go through, take some practice tests for the PSAT and ACT, and just see where you stand. Right, because nobody knows ahead of time, like, oh, I'm gonna take the ACT, I'm gonna take the ACT. It really depends on your strengths, right? Alima said, like, ACT has a lot of science, so if you're good at science and it's a lot easier for you. Some people find that the ACT is a much easier test. Some people like the SAT. So I would definitely try to take both. Just see now ahead of time, where your strengths and weaknesses lie, and then when you get closer to the actual time period, you can sign up for both and see what you do better on. That way you have the best chance.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that. Definitely, like Sarah said, start off for both of them. And then when you do take the PSAT, which will be important for the National Merit Scholarship, you know, if you're trying to obtain that, you definitely want to, you know, remember at 9th grade that that's the first test that you're going to want to study for before you even start studying much for the ACT and the ACT. Alima, do you want to add anything?
I know like my high school, especially, like we took the PSAT and everything. I know that a lot of like, so you would be more inclined to take the SAT, but again, like definitely like, as you said, like take both of the exams, like the practice exams, and see how you stand. Cause you never know which exam like you'll do better in, which is what I would like SAT was okay for me, but once I took a practice ACT test, I did much better. So that's very important to try both exams, even though like SAT is, I think, a little like more people just take that one automatically. So I would say definitely try both to see where you stand.
Okay. Medea is also asking, when should you choose exactly which part of the medical field you want to go forward with?
Most people, even in medical school, haven't decided. I think it's at like late third year of medical school was when you decide. So you have a lot of time. Because that's when you start doing rotations and you're going to get on the field and see what the doctor's doing. So, you know, you don't really have to worry about that too much right now.
Suraj, have you decided yet, other than, you know, surgeon? Do you know what kind of surgeon?
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't been on the field. I'm thinking orthopedic surgery, but you know, I guess we'll see when I get on the field.
Okay, and Alima, have
Inshallah,
you
inshallah.
Inshallah.
No, I have not decided yet. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple years, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Inshallah. Okay. And then Ateep has a question. If you have time, please answer. Do big schools prefer students from magnet schools? So I'm assuming he's talking about big colleges. Do big colleges prefer students from big magnet schools, or just magnet schools in general? So I want to say no. I don't think that schools care what high school you're particularly coming from. I think any high school that you go to is, you know, you can apply anywhere from that high school. I think, again, it's just the story that you put together about yourself, who you are, and what you share with the college that you're going. It does, sometimes things are a little bit harder. Like, for example, if your school doesn't rank, then there is a different process, but, you know, it's not a process, it's not doable. Lots of students that are homeschool students get into wonderful colleges and universities, very rigorous and ones, and they just go through a different process to do it. But anything is possible. Mr. Lee, do you want to add to that?
You pretty much said it. So yeah, so it really doesn't matter like what school you attend. It ends up being all about yourself, right? Who you are. And I know a lot of people are asking for like Ivy Leagues, right? So they are going to want a student that's well-rounded, right? So you want to make sure that, yes, you're getting really good grades, but you are also giving back to your community in one way or another. And they want you to talk about those experiences. What made you start this? How did you start? And, you know, what impact has it done for the community that you're helping? And that's not just for Ivy Leagues. I feel like that's for pretty much everywhere and anything you do. So
yeah. And then we're going to wrap it up with a few more questions because it is 3:54. But one of the last few questions is, for clinical rotations in 12th grade, whom should I approach? So, and this is from Yusuf Muhammad. So Yusuf, if you are not in a program, I'm assuming you're going to 12th grade next year. If you're not in a program right now, then I don't think that's something you'll be able to achieve through your school. But you can next summer apply for programs through the local hospitals, or any program that a clinic may have. With everything opening back up again after COVID, I think hospitals are going to begin those types of programs where you can volunteer and get in some hospital experience. But as far as like the programs that Alima was referring to earlier, that is through your school. And so, that would be your counselor that you would want to speak to. But if you're in 12th grade and you're not in that program, that may not be possible for you. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking. If you want to clarify anything, we can definitely address that. But look into your local hospitals, and they should have something for you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm in 10th grade.
Oh, you're in 10th grade right now. Okay. Yeah, so talk to your counselor. What high school do you go to? Is it a public school or?
I go to Plano East Senior High School.
Okay, so talk to your counselor. They should be able to tell you what opportunities you have. And actually, if you're going to go to 10th grade, then this is the right time, because those are programs that you get involved in your 11th and 12th grade years.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the last question we'll take, and I'm going to let Siraj and Lima definitely take this one, but can you guys elaborate on the national merit and what are the conditions? If they want to take it.
I'm not 100%. I know that you have to have a specific PSAT score on this one. So that's your junior year that you take that, I think. Yeah, you take it your junior year. And then I don't have too much information on that one, but I know you're supposed to do really good on that one. And that's all I know. I'm not sure, sorry.
It's okay.
So yeah, so for national merit, to become a semifinalist, there's a certain score you need to get breakdown. It's not the actual score. It's like they calculate it. It's like an index score based on your reading and your math. I think your reading counts for more points than the math. So that index score determines whether you're either you're national merit committed or semifinalist. If you are a semifinalist, they'll alert you, I think, the beginning of your senior year. And then to go from a semifinalist to a finalist, there's an application. The majority of people go from semifinalist to finalist. You just fill out the application, you just write the essays, and you just do all that. So it's mostly just the score.
Yeah. So my advice to whoever's trying to, be a part of the National Merit Scholarship and do well is not worry about the process itself. Just worry about this is just do as well as you can on the PSAT, practice it. Just do as well as you can. It's not easy, but of course anything is doable should you put your effort into it. Okay, so that is the last question, unless someone wants to unmute and ask any questions. If not, I would like to go ahead and share some information about our next webinars that are going to come up, but I'll give anyone a chance who wants to unmute. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Do you add people to your email list just so they can get the information and they get to know when the next webinar is?
Yeah, so if you want to put your email in the chat group, Brother Amar or Brother Danish may have better. Do you guys have an email list that they can add to, or there's a way that they can get signed up so they can know when the next webinars come out?
Oh yeah, there should be. Just if you guys can place your emails in the chat, I can sign you guys up, inshallah.
Yeah, also ICNA has newsletter, monthly newsletter. So if they can subscribe to it, so they will always find out about what events are happening.
Where can they go to subscribe to it?
Brother Danish Aftab, can you please mention? I think it's Dallas ICNA group on Facebook. They can basically subscribe that page. Otherwise, I will share that information along with the recording this webinar. I will provide the more information about how they can subscribe.
Okay.
Danish?
Yes.
I can also post the ICNA Dallas link here, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can sign up for the newsletter there as well.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah. So I have shared that link. You guys can go there, and then you guys can input your emails in. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jazakallah khair. So yeah, with that, I want to share like some of the next webinars. The next one that we're going to put together and have for you guys is having a group of students that have all gone through different experiences, the way Alima has, the way Siraj has, Amar has, in high school, students that have been at different types of high schools, whether they be charter, whether they be private Islamic schools or just private non-religious schools, homeschool students, all will come on as panelists sharing their experiences. We'll ask each of them questions similar to the questions that our audience members had today. And then they'll share their experiences and the colleges that they end up in and what it took to take, what it took to get to them. So this helps all of our students that are in high school. And I think we had a lot of students that were on today with parents, which is awesome. And that's what we want to see, because it will help you as a high school student hear from individuals who've been through the process that you are going through right now. And it helps you as you reflect back on yourself, what is, you know, which story sounds the closest to what your story is. And it just helps you gain from their experiences. And then after that, the next panel that we would like to have is, or we'll have is, inshallah, a group of students that are in college and or they've graduated from college actually, and they are benefiting students that are in 11th, 12th, or even young freshmen in college. And just like in high school, there's a pathway to take. While you're in college, there's definitely a pathway to take for whatever it is that you're trying to do. And so that webinar will be geared more towards those students that are getting ready to go into college. Either they're in college or they're getting ready to go in there, inshallah. So that information will definitely be released and come towards you guys soon. I just want to end my part real quick by just saying, you know, Jazakallah khair to everybody who came in this afternoon. I really appreciate you guys coming, learning, bettering yourselves. You're on the right path. You want to know more. You want to educate yourself as much as you can. These are the right steps to that self-awareness and figuring out what you do. And I want to really appreciate ICNA and all of the volunteers that are a part of it, having programs like this for our communities. This is the best thing that we can do for our young students. And so I just want to appreciate everybody who is a part of it.
Sister Sadia, Jazakumullah khair. I just, sorry for, I know that you guys.
No, you're.
Is there any way that I still have some questions? Is there any way that I can contact you?
Yeah, sure. So I shared my email and I'll put it in here again. And then I also have my phone there. You can always text me. But yes, absolutely. If anybody wants to get a hold of me afterwards, I have, you know, I'm more than welcome. Okay. With that, I'll go ahead and hand it back to Amar. And if you want to close us off.
Yeah, definitely, inshallah. Before we end, Brother Danish, is there anything else you would like to add, or we're good to go?
I think we are good.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, everyone, for joining, especially to the panelists. Miss Julia had to leave early, so we want to thank her for her insight, and also to Sister Sadia, Alima, and Siraj. You know, big thanks to you guys. I certainly learned a lot, and I hope our students were also able to learn. And inshallah, for those people that put your emails in the chat, I have provided the link that you guys can go to. You have to provide your name and your mobile phone number as well. So since I didn't have that information, I haven't signed you guys up, but you guys can definitely go to that link that I have posted in the chat, inshallah. So once again, thank you everyone for joining. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. جزاك الله خير everyone.